Okay, so this is a note on why I self-publish. I self-publish because it's really my preferred method at the moment. And by the end of this year, I should have self-published about 5 books in different contexts. Many years ago, I did, before self-publishing took off in its digital format, I did try and get a couple of books conventionally published, but although the feedback was positive, it proved difficult. Sometimes the timing was difficult. On one novel I wrote, it referred to some terrorism, and by the time I was pushing it around publishers, 9/11 happened, which threw everything off and the world changed. So I had to describe terrorism in a different way. It was just too difficult. Anyway, so here are 5 reasons why I think self-publishing is the way to go, especially at the moment, and especially if you are starting out. So firstly, it works. You get the book out there. If you've been working for a few years on your novel, you at the very least want to get it out there. Getting a traditionally published arrangement is not a shoo-in. In fact, it's very unlikely. The figures vary depending on the agency, but some leading agencies have suggested that they might only request to see a manuscript based on an inquiry letter in about 2-3% of cases. That's 3 out of 100 letters that they receive. And then they only take on a fraction of that, less than 1%. Sometimes even something like 0.1, 0.2% of inquiries. So the odds are unlikely. So self-publishing works, and the odds are stacked against you if you try the traditional route only. That's point 1. Point 2, time to production. So even if you do get a deal with an agent, they will have to push it around the publishing houses, and this can take time. They can of course say no, but even if you are successful in getting a deal, sometimes it can take up to 18 months from submission to get your book launched, because it has to go through the various editing, there's some negotiation, it just takes time. But if you're self-published, once you've finished the manuscript, tidied it up, had it edited and so on, you can publish that day, and it can be published online as an ebook or as a paperback if you're using a print-on-demand service within a few days. So the time to production is very quick. Okay, third, delay. What if you delay, then delay again? Then your book might be cooling off. It might not be so relevant. So if you're not careful, when it does come out, it might feel dated. The world has moved on, and the world is moving so fast nowadays. Trends come and go very quickly. So it is better to be ahead of the curve, or at least riding the curve, rather than be behind it. Because you never know, what if another book, a film, a TV series, your competition comes out in the meantime? You've missed the train, you've missed the bus. Additionally, while you wait, life stuff might happen to you. You might be ill, break a leg, there might be bereavement in the family or work changes and so on. So waiting when there is certainty, i.e. patience, that could work, but waiting when there's uncertainty is, I'm not so sure. So I would just crack on. Point 4, contracts. So if you do have a contract with a publisher, you're tying up the book. I've anecdotally heard horror stories, or at least unhappy stories, of books being under contract, getting held up, not published, and sometimes not even launched. There are company takeovers, or there are personnel changes, and if it's not launched or it's not promoted, then you're in some difficulty. You might not be a priority at the company, the publishing company, and at the very least, you don't have control over the production schedule. So if there are delays because of company business, personal changes, you have no input, and you're under contract, so your book is tied up. I've heard other stories of if there's a print run, then a few years later you want to push the book yourself because you think it might be becoming more relevant, or because there's another book in the series coming out, but you can't arrange a print run with the publisher because they're not really interested or encouraged. So you don't have control, and that asset is sitting doing nothing. So be careful. So if you're traditionally published, your book can get tied up, but if you're self-published, then you can just crack on and do your own thing. Point 5. So you have a bigger percentage of the sale of each book. You receive more cash, more royalty, a larger royalty cut as a self-published writer. So you have no you don't pay a publisher, and you don't have an agent's cut. So especially if you're going the print-on-demand route for paperbacks, and then each book will be more expensive to produce, but at least you will not be dealing with and handling the storing of a stock of books and the mailing out. So again, if you're self-published, in theory, you will be getting a bigger cut on the books that you do sell. Point 6, marketing. So as a self-published writer, you will have more of a hand in the marketing, the sole hand in fact. So you can choose where you want to make it available and when, under which schemes, which promotion schemes and which stores. And more importantly, and I found this to be useful, you can change the price of your book as and when you see fit on, for instance, platforms like Amazon and other providers. So you get to decide and coordinate promotions and offer deals. You are, after all, your work's greatest champion, so in a very busy and very crowded world, you are probably the best person to lead. After all, if you've had a traditionally published book or two and the sales aren't really there, then not only might you struggle to convince the publisher to promote the books harder, but the publisher might even drop you, and then where will you be? You might have a book or two, you might be able to get the book back under your control, but then you have to start everything again. So a book tied up with another party and without the publishing force behind you, and you might struggle. Point 7. As a self-publisher, you have taken on personal responsibility for the publication of the book, but also you're assuming a personal responsibility for generating an interest, generating a following and an audience for the book, and that could lead to other things further down the line. Because you've made the decision to take everything on yourself, you will need to be more proactive in developing a relationship with your audience, and that's not such a bad thing. So you might be working on social media, mailing lists and other ways to reach out. So going the self-publishing route, or route as our American friends say, can force you to be more proactive and take responsibility. Okay, lastly, this is sort of similar. Point 8 is sort of sanity, and it's a sort of an emotional control. If you've spent many years writing a book, you want to get it out there, and it might even take a few years for the book to find its feet, or even many years, especially if you're writing a series, for instance. But getting the book out there is a certain amount of satisfaction for you yourself. Not only have you reached and crossed the finish line of writing the book, you've crossed the line of publishing, and the book is out there. That's not to say there's a lot of work to be done in the marketing. Marketing a book is a whole other thing, and I'm constantly learning on how to improve, but at least you can close the cover of completing and publishing a book. Now, of course, there are advantages to going the traditional route and even having the support of a large publisher behind you, but how long are you going to wait? So my advice is get started now, don't delay. Besides, having some success as a self-published author, you might garner the attention of an established publisher. You might have done some of the hard work and they might come up and say, look, okay, we want to take this book or these other books or any other books you might have in the pipeline. And if you're self-published, then you can maybe negotiate from an improved and informed position. Anyway, that's why I self-publish, and that's my case for self-publishing, so I think you should consider doing it yourself. And if you do, best of luck.
If I've missed something, please put it in the comments, and as usual, please like, share and subscribe. That'll help the channel. If you're interested in my collector stories, volume 1 and 2 are available on Amazon. Also keep an eye out for the novel, which is coming out shortly. It's called My Name Was Nigel. I'm just tweaking that at the moment. Check out the other videos, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.